Story 1. Spending too much time on technology, such as playing games or doom scrolling, instead of living life. Story 2. Not exercising is probably the biggest problem for me. The one that has the potential to kill me the quickest is making bad dad jokes to my wife. Story 3. Drinking energy drinks. I haven't noticed any problems yet, but I feel like I'm due. Story 4. I quit smoking almost 35 years ago. If I had not, I know I would not be here. I could feel it killing me. Story 5. I sit for hours at a time even though I need to move more. It is wreaking havoc on my body. Story 6. The gross amount of weed I smoke and the zero-calorie energy drink are probably pickling me from the inside out. Story 7. Obligatory recommendation for the subreddit Stop Drinking. Besides the risk of cancer and damaging interpersonal relationships, there is also the risk that you become overconfident in your abilities and unrealistic about alcohol's effect on you, which can lead to a life-altering accident or at least an expensive and humiliating driving under the influence charge. Story 8. Candy and other sugary foods. I am skinny fat and work out 5 times a week, but it will catch up with me eventually. Story 9. I procrastinate on almost everything. I put things off until the last possible minute. Sometimes it works out, but deep down I know it is only a matter of time before it all crashes down. Work piles up, I neglect my health, and life catches up. I keep telling myself I will fix it tomorrow, but it never comes. Story 10. Being fiscally irresponsible makes being an adult fucking suck. Story 11. My soda addiction. I am trying to ease out of it, but it is not easy. Story 12. For me, it's masturbation. I've heard it makes you blind. I feel like I'm going to be blind before 40. I'm already at 12 a day. It's worse than cigarettes. It's not even funny. Some days I masturbate so hard it feels like it owes me money. Story 13. Mine has already caught up. I spent years eating whatever I wanted. My genetics seemed on my side. I stayed slim, fluctuated a bit, but never really gained much. Then I developed gastroparesis. It was idiopathic. I dropped to 99 pounds. I got a gastric neurostimulator and had it for nearly 10 years. I had to have it removed for medical reasons and nausea returned. I enjoyed being able to eat for those 10 years, but it does not feel like enough. I miss food. Alcohol? I drank for many years and could handle it fine. I started turning into an asshole when I drank, so I put it down and walked away. I do not really miss it. I have a genetic condition that makes me look very young for my age, but it is taking an internal toll. I am like the living portrait of Dorian Gray. The outside is fantastic. The inside not so much. On the plus side, I have developed some stellar coping skills. If you have made it this far, here is the secret. The dark humor is a load-bearing structure. Stay funny. Story 14. I have been sleeping very poorly for years, and I have been drinking more coffee than water for over a year. I am fairly sure something in my health is beginning to deteriorate. Story 15. Self-loathing can be very challenging to overcome, even with therapy and medication. Story 16. Mine already has. I have very hypermobile joints, and for my entire childhood my doctor repeatedly told me to stop intentionally hyperextending them. I did not listen, and now my body fucking hurts all the time and I am only 27. Story 17. I overeat. I don't have to worry too much right now, but I know it's going to catch up with me when I have my first heart attack in my 40s. Story 18. I am sleeping way too late while doom scrolling. I know my back and eyes are going to be completely ruined by 40, but here I am at 1 a.m. scrolling Reddit instead of fixing my life. Story 19. I have an extreme sweet tooth. I am 40 years old, and for reasons I cannot comprehend, my sugar addiction has not caused me any health problems yet. I am still skinny and have no signs of diabetes, but someday this will catch up to me. This probably helps because, apart from eating too much chocolate, I eat a very healthy diet. Story 20. I am worried about my aspirin use over the last year. I have cut back recently, but I have a cold right now, so I am hoping I will be okay just for this week. Story 21. Not eating enough. Between the stress of school and long hours of studying, eating has become a burden. I know that skipping meals means I am missing important micronutrients, but I do not have the time to change it right now. Story 22. Not having enough money to live a healthier life and visit the doctor more often. Story 23. If I do not stay consistent with my exercise routine, it will come back to haunt me. Story 24. Honestly, I drink Diet Mountain Dew. I try to drink 1 to 2 glasses of water for each one, and I do my best. Story 25. Junk food and Netflix have long since caught up with me. I am working on it, but it is not easy. Story 26. I spent 5 years constantly listening to electronic dance music at maximum volume. Story 27. My horrible track record with sleep. Anxiety, depression, and dissociation make it worse. Story 28. I am not getting enough sleep. As a university student, it will probably catch up with me and cause dementia later on. Laughing out loud. Story 29. My terrible sleep schedule is probably to blame. I stay up far too late scrolling or watching videos and am exhausted the next day. I know it is bad for my long-term health, but it is a hard habit to break. Story 30. People tell me eating spicy food will catch up with me one day. I have some reflux, but it is only really bad if I drink alcohol. I love spicy food so much. I do not know if I will ever stop entirely. I do not do extreme spice challenges, although I have tried them, but I often eat food that is hotter than the average person can handle. I am not going to give up spicy food unless it is literally about to kill me. Besides, it is 2025. We should have medications that let us eat anything without experiencing reflux. You can eat spicy food and still be healthy. Spicy dishes are not limited to fried or processed foods, so I can eat healthily and still get the kick I love. I laugh. Story 31. I eat whatever I want. I have tried to lose weight and get healthy, but there is too much good food, so I figure God will tell me to stop when He is ready. Story 32. I have to sit crisscross applesauce, and I can already feel the strain in my tarsals and ankles, but I cannot sit any other way. It feels strange to have my legs spread out or dangling. It is almost painful. Story 33. I eat wheat products and have a sensitivity to them. I know one day it is going to backfire on me, but it has not yet. Story 34. Honestly, I am staying up way too late. I keep telling myself, just one more episode or I will scroll for 5 more minutes. And then suddenly it is 2 in the morning and I have to be up early. It is already affecting my focus and energy, but I keep doing it. I know one day it is going to hit me harder than it does now. Story 35. Sitting on the toilet for 30 minutes. It is the only time I get some peace and quiet. Haha. Story 36. I'm sorry that you're feeling this way. Are you safe right now? If you're in immediate danger, please call emergency services, for example, 911 in the US, or go to your nearest emergency room. If you're in the US, you can call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you're outside the US, contact your local emergency services or consult the International Association for Suicide Prevention for local crisis resources. I can help find local hotlines or stay with you here. Would you like that? I've tried multiple times to overdose, but I kept failing. Story 37. Rumination is now made worse by post-traumatic stress disorder. As if I wasn't already prone to overthinking, I was harassed last year and developed it, which sent my overthinking into overdrive and triggered hypervigilance. I cannot confirm this scientifically, but I am reasonably certain that overthinking the way I do can cause real physical harm. Story 38. Pepsi has already caused thousands of dollars worth of damage to my teeth, and it will cause more. Probably contributes to why I feel awful all the time, but if I had to choose between a life without Pepsi and death, I think I would choose death. I have a ridiculous sweet tooth and enjoy only a very small selection of snacks. I cannot stand drinking plain water or anything bland like milk. Pepsi is the only thing I drink. I drink plain water only in desperate situations, for example when I am out of Pepsi or when Pepsi and other foods have upset my stomach and more Pepsi would make it worse. Story 39. My love of Cheetos is clearly clogging my arteries with cholesterol. Story 40. I have to have it daily, sometimes more than 5 times. Story 41. My irregular sleeping pattern is probably to blame. It is 5 in the morning as I type this, and I haven't managed to sleep at all tonight. Story 42. Staying up late playing video games. You think you are clean, but an impulse hits one night in 100 and you feel vindicated to queue up one more game until morning. Story 43. Probably the amount of weed I smoke, but for now it's balanced with the amount of running I do. Story 44. Binge eating on junk food feels fine now, but eventually your body is going to remind you it is not a great idea. Story 45. Eating habits are probably the most common bad habit that comes back to bite you over time. I also squander opportunities because I value personal time over success. I tell myself I will apply for jobs that could pay much better later, but the posting's close before I do because I fear losing free time. The irony is I do not even use that free time. I value the choices it gives me, not the free time itself. Story 46. I drink a lot of Coca-Cola. It is one of my few luxuries in life. I barely drink alcohol. I do not get to do many exciting things, but I drink about 3 cans of Coca-Cola per workday. Story 47. All the sweets I love to eat. I have tried to quit so many times, but then I come across a great cookie recipe and end up baking it, using the excuse that I am making it for my husband. Story 48. I vape a lot, drink heavily, have abused hard drugs for several years, and do not turn them down when I come across them. I am fucked. Story 49. Nicotine, caffeine, alcohol, lack of sleep, and working too much. Story 50. Breathing. I am sure I will regret it at some point. I am speaking as someone who was hospitalized multiple times for asthma-related issues in the past. Story 51. Almost everything. Alcohol consumption, smoking, excessive screen time, lack of exercise, daily caffeine intake of 300 milligrams or more. Story 52. Not eating vegetables will definitely catch up with me in the future. I try to make up for it with fruits and other sources of fiber, but vegetables are indispensable. Story 53. I am not talking with my significant others because I am afraid of hurting them. Story 54. I have probably the worst nicotine habit imaginable. I used to smoke cigarettes about 1.5 to 2 packs a day when I could afford it. I started in my early teens, and I am in my late 20s now. I have primarily been vaping for the last 5 years. Most disposable vape brands only last me a week to a week and a half. I wake up in the middle of the night to use my vape, and I never leave a room without it unless it is charging. I also carry nicotine pouches for times when I cannot vape openly, such as at work or in a grocery store. I know it is not good, but I have no intention of quitting. It is the glue holding me together, and during the worst and most traumatic times of my life, it was my only comfort. I have quit or significantly reduced all my other substance use, but this one is not going anywhere soon. Story 55. These nicotine pouches are probably good for brain function. Story 56. Snooze is the only thing that helps my depression and anxiety besides medication, and I do not want to take medication for personal reasons. I have never had a cavity, but I worry my teeth will fall out one day. I have tried to quit, but I have a hard time dealing with the people around me without it. Story 57. Surviving on iced coffee and adrenaline. My body thinks I am a hummingbird powered by anxiety. Story 58. Laziness is the feeling that I am missing out on an amazing life because I have not forced myself to study or improve. Story 59. Talcum. I will probably get cancer from asbestos. 1 in 1,000 talcum bottles has it. Story 60. Apparently, I drink too much coffee. I have between 32 and 48 ounces a day, and people really freak out about that. Story 61. Multiple things. No social life. I have a good group of friends I have known for more than 20 years. But I am 30 and do not have a girlfriend and do not know where to find one. I have no other friends from college or work. I do not have a steady job. I bartend and cannot find other work. I use marijuana nearly daily while gaming. I bartend 4 days a week. I smoke at night, study, and play Xbox until 3 a.m., then repeat. I know it is bad, but I do not have a life. If you know where to look, please help me out. Story 62. I bite my fingernails. A few months ago, I bit the skin around a nail too deeply and developed an infection that spread halfway up my arm. Story 63. It is not a single habit but how they feed each other. Consistent sleep deprivation and spiraling self-criticism. The self-blame felt like wounding myself again. Lack of sleep fuels that fire. The perspective shift you mentioned is the key. Observe your struggle from afar, without judgment. That objective recognition is the foundation for a fresh start. We all deserve to drop the shame. Story 64. I woke up, opened Instagram, watched reels, and hours passed without realizing it. Story 65. I stay up until 3 in the morning binge watching true crime documentaries, convinced I will spot the killer before the detectives. I never do, but my under-eye bags are plotting a full rebellion any day now. Story 66. As a fan of the Las Vegas Raiders, the only week I do not ask why I put myself through this is the bye week. When the playoffs start, I get some relief because I know they will not lose another game for a long time. Story 67. I pull out my eyelashes when I'm nervous. I will end up with none. Story 68. Not quite the same, but I have a healthy habit that will catch up to me someday. Taking my medication. I take many medications for mental health. They are lifesavers, and I am able to live the life I want because of them. But the long-term side effects are starting to pile up after more than a decade. I am now taking additional prescription medications to manage the side effects. This will continue, and eventually I will have to make difficult choices between keeping my mind healthy or keeping my body healthy. Story 69. They're probably my sweet drinks, but I only have them on weekends now. Story 70. I am experiencing severe sleep deprivation. I need to get up on time to keep my job, so it feels like choosing between risking my health and facing starvation. If you are considering harming yourself or are in immediate danger, please contact emergency services now. In the United States, call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you are elsewhere, please contact local emergency services or a crisis line in your country. Story 71. Sparkling water. I am worried there may be an unknown risk that it could damage my kidneys. Story 72. Postponed life syndrome and staying up late. Story 73. One eye on the pillow, the other on my phone, into the wee hours. Story 74. Eating too much fast food is not healthy. You will have more problems later when it catches up. Story 75. I'm sorry you're feeling so hopeless. That sounds really painful. If you're in immediate danger, please call your local emergency number or crisis line right now. In the United States, you can call or text 988. I can help find support or edit the text below for text-to-speech. I smoked for 35 years. At my worst, I smoked 2 packs a day. I quit long ago, but I can't escape the consequences. I have hypertension now and will probably have a stroke later. I hope it kills me. Story 76. You were spending too much time staring at a monitor and listening to loud music through headphones. Story 77. I've already eaten a lot of sushi and poke, but now that I live in Hawaii and there is so much delicious ahi, I'm beginning to worry about an increased risk of mercury poisoning. I'm only allowing myself to have it once a week now, but it's hard to abstain because it's so good. Story 78. Smoking causes poor sleep, dental problems, reduced cardiovascular fitness, and strong nicotine dependence. It can gradually harm your health and may be associated with poor mental health. Story 79. Alcohol. I think it's catching up with me suddenly. Since 2019, when my wife left me, I have consumed an average of 107 units of alcohol per week. The recommended maximum is 14 units. Sometimes it is closer to 200 units. I took 2 months off alcohol last year, but as soon as I had the chance to drink again, it went back above 100 units. On Friday, I drank heavily, and again on Saturday. I have started to get pains in what I assume are my kidneys and most likely my liver. Moving hurts, and my skin is becoming inflamed. I am tired almost all the time. I did not drink last night, and now I have crushing depression and hate everything. Story 80. Doom scrolling. Thank you for the reminder to put down the phone and start the day. Story 81. Smoking weed and staring at my phone for hours every day probably isn't the best. But fuck it, right? Story 82. I sleep for long periods if I am not interrupted, and I am always willing to nap. I have been this way my entire life. Much of it is depression. I have always seen sleep as a kind of time travel, something I can do in the moment to escape my feelings for a while. It is the only thing that has ever seemed to work. It is unhealthy. I have woken up feeling stale and strange, sometimes dehydrated or extremely hungry after spending an entire Saturday sleeping. When anything bad happens, my initial, almost Pavlovian response is to become very tired. Story 83. I am picking my nose. I know I will someday die from a nasal infection. The infection will spread directly to my brain. Story 84. I suffer from sleep deprivation. Not once has my sleep schedule been normal. Of course, this gives me more time for my other bad habits. Story 85. Caffeine addiction, not giving a fuck what I eat. Near constant sexual stimulation. I don't know, pick one. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.